Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to EZAG, the #1 resource to help you farm differently. Lately, I've received several questions around planting and wanted to take a few minutes today to visit with you about those. Several farmers in the area are wondering, how fast is too fast? How soon is too soon? And how deep is too deep? And the answer to all of those questions is the same. It depends. It depends on 1,000 or more variables that we cannot control and that no one knows or can foresee will happen in the future. I offer you now the story of the Chinese farmer by Alan Watts. Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer who lost a horse. It ran away. And all the neighbors came around that evening and said, "Well, that's too bad." And he said, "Maybe." The next day, that horse came back and brought 7 wild horses with it. And all the neighbors came around and said, "Why, that's great, isn't it?" And he said, "Maybe." The next day, his son was attempting to tame one of these wild horses and was riding it and was thrown and broke his leg. All the neighbors came around and said, "Well, that's too bad, isn't it?" And the farmer said, "Maybe." And the next day, the conscription officers came around looking for people for the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. And all the neighbors came around and said, "Well, isn't that wonderful?" And the farmer said, "Maybe." The whole process of nature is an integrated process with immense complexity, and it is really impossible to tell whether anything that happens in it is good or bad, because you never know what will be the consequences of the misfortune, or you never know what will be the consequences of the good fortune. So as you can probably guess, if you are planting 6 miles per hour, I would tell you that may be too fast, but depending on the conditions, that may be too slow. If you are planting today, that may be right, and that may be wrong. And if you are placing the seed 3 inches deep in order to get into adequate and even moisture, you may be planting too deep, and then again, maybe not. As a general rule, too much of anything is never a good thing, nor is too little. And in farming, and especially planting corn, diversification is the surest path to success. Today is April the 28th, and a decade ago, I would have told you that April 28th was absolutely the most ideal day to plant corn. But after gaining a decade's worth of experience and thousands of more data points on the best date to plant corn, I will tell you today maybe, and then again, maybe not the best day. As a final thought, the best rule for planting corn comes from the first of the top 5 factors to producing a top crop: soil conditions at planting time. If the ground is fit, plant it. And if you just aren't sure, use the old rule of thumb. Rate your soil conditions on a scale of 1 to 10, excluding 7. If your conditions are 8 or better and you feel like you're short of time, it is time to keep planting. That's all for today. I'm Matt Long, helping you farm differently, providing information you can't get anywhere else.